Welcome to Space Engineers. I'm ODST General, and I'm finally back to recording YouTube video. So, I've been pretty addicted to GTA 5 lately, but this game's got me back to PC gaming. That and the fact that my power brick's failing. So if you're not familiar with Space Engineers, basically the concept is, simply put, Minecraft in space. It is more complex than that, but that's putting it really simply for somebody who's never played the game before, is not familiar with it. It differs from Minecraft in that I think the emphasis is more on like creativity and rather than survival, but there is a survival mode. The game currently has no AI, unlike Minecraft, but there's a lot more kind of crazy stuff that you can get just in the vanilla game, and this game is only early access currently. It's on Steam, and it's still got a long way to go to completion, but they're coming out with new stuff every week. Right here you can see a platform, a cockpit, and some chairs and nothing else. It's a ship that I'd started to build but never really got too far on yet so far. This is a little workshop I whipped up shortly, like in a little short period. A couple of runways because I wanted to test out basically wheels on a fighter jet or something if that was possible. And some doors we're testing out, different doors, see how they work out. So far neither of those designs are really too good. The one's too low and the other one doesn't really close without damaging the platform without some sort of a gap. So we'll go into the control tower here. I'll talk a little bit about the game and some of the functions of some of this stuff. So if this was survival mode, this is just creative mode, so I can place whatever I want from this little selection here and not need any resources. But if this was survival, I would need resources. And if you look on the right hand side, you can see a little display window that popped up below the directional stuff and above my gravity thing. And that says that the 1x1 inverted window takes 24 bulletproof glass and 11 girders to create. So if this was actually survival mode, and there would be asteroids around here somewhere. I just picked an empty map since this isn't survival mode, but if this was, there would be asteroids scattered around here. I'd be able to fly to them, and I'd be able to use this hand drill or a drill on a ship to mine resources out of the asteroid. As far as I can tell, asteroids just have randomly generated resources, and there's a whole bunch of different resources such as platinum, gold, silver, silicon, iron, stone. There's a couple others, but when you mine that, you would then go to your refinery and you'd put that in here, and then it refines it and smelts it down into like silicon wafers or ingots or whatever. And the biggest part of survival though is the reactor, which basically keeps everything running unless you have like solar panels or batteries, which this released in the last patch this past Thursday. But you would need the refinery in order to basically refine the uranium to put in there. From there, you go to your assembler, and if you need something built, you put the resources in there, and then you'd say, well, I want to build an interior plate, and the game will be like, okay, well, he's got iron ingots in the assembler. You'd put them in here, and it build you a interior plate or whatever it was you needed, or you could build a gun or ammunition for your weapons or tools or whatever it is you really needed. And then you can go and you'd place an object, and in survival mode, instead of it being completed, you'd basically have that be like the frame of the window, and you'd have to go up to it and use this welder to weld it and finish it, and that would take resources out of your character's inventory. And I don't know if that's going to destroy that. Actually, anyways, I just take stuff out of your character's inventory. Yeah, there we go. So I didn't pick up any resources off of that, but Normally you'd pick up resources by using this tool to grind it down. And as you'd slowly complete it, and you'd have to basically build every single one of these blocks by hand. So something like this, you really need more than one person for survival. It's possible, but it would be difficult. We'll go up to the control room here in just a second. So this is a gravity generator. The game's got a bunch of different controls for gravity. And if we hop in this hanger control here, what we'll do is we will reverse this. We're going to shut that door right there. Hopefully it doesn't destroy everything on the way down, because that's a problem with both the doors we have right now. We're going to keep that off because Blue Monkey decided he was going to throw on a bunch of gravity generators while we were playing the other day. Let's see. I don't know which uses which, since he's got so many of them now. I think this gravity generator, as you can see, you can adjust the field, the width, depth, and height of that, and then you can change the acceleration. So -1 acceleration actually pushes objects away from the gravity generator, where +1 pulls them towards. But depending on the way the gravity generator is facing, it could actually work to keep you towards the generator. Yeah, there's some damage to the station from that. That's another cool thing about this, is that like the metals and stuff will actually get warped and, you know, get destroyed when you take damage. Depending on how badly they get destroyed or warped, you can actually lose them. So right here you can see I've got gravity generator, and it's upside down, so it's actually negative gravity I've got on it. And actually, normally it pushes you away, but because you're under it, it pulls you towards it, since it's on the bottom and upside down. So that way it keeps you grounded to this. And you'll notice that when you go through overlapping fields of gravity generator like I am right now, the gravity will increase or decrease depending on the gravity, the way it's set up. So another thing is, if you're in survival, you have to basically respawn. Generally, if you're playing by yourself, it's not necessarily a big deal, depending on how you respawn. If you have a base or something, and you generally spawn pretty close to your base as long as you know where it's at, or you have a high setting for a beacon. But in multiplayer, it's pretty vital, especially because most survival games usually don't have like a medical bay or something. The one I play on does have a central space station considered a safe zone with a respawn. But if I were to respawn in a new ship, it would kick me out of a faction due to a bug in the game. Oh, that's cool. I never noticed that, since this new skybox of the Earth is actually reflected in the window. Anyways, yeah, it would basically kick me out of my faction, and I'd lose access to all my stuff because they have that new faction function they added in this. So I'll actually show you that right now. That's this thing right here, and basically this serves three functions actually. In survival, you have energy. You can see in the lower left-hand screen I have my health. It says whether or not my jetpack and dampeners and lights are on. My mass currently, my speed, my energy, and my volume. Mass and volume. Volume is how much you can carry, basically, or how much you have on you. If I were to drop my drill, I'd basically lose a ton of my volume. Standard survival, it's 400, but it can be increased up to, like, I think 8,000 or 4,000 or something. If this was survival, I'd have energy. And there's two ways of recharging energy. You'd basically either have to go and sit in a cockpit like this one, and you'd regain energy. Or you'd have to go to a medical bay, and you can hear that noise it's making, and that would be me regenerating energy. Second function this serves is basically allows you to alter your character's color, look, whatever. I'm just sticking with the standard black for right now, but if you can also mod this, and I've seen people like mod different textures and stuff onto their character. And then the last function this serves is basically if I were to die for whatever reason, I would be able to respawn off of this medical bay. I'd spawn in this room up here in this control bay. As it stands right now, all the way we have this set up, at least in this station, is all these controls control everything on the station, but you could potentially set up controls to a specific person. So say you wanted one specific person and only that person to be the guy who ran your control tower that we have here, and say that was Blue Monkey, because I know a couple of you have probably seen him in some of my past Arma 3 videos. I could say, well, this station here belongs to Blue Monkey, and then I want Monkey to have control of the doors, and I would set the owner from Nobody to Blue Monkey. Apparently it doesn't like to do that because it's grouped, I guess. Yeah, it's probably because it's grouped. Let me see here. So yeah, okay, now it's just making noise. Okay, so let me select it though. I could set that to Blue Monkey, and only Blue Monkey would be able to use this console. Nobody else would have access, and only Blue Monkey would be able to control the doors, and nobody else would see them unless they went down and grinded down all the components required to like basically control that. So somebody would have to take this thing here, grind down on this until it got to that blue line, which is the computer, and that's considered hacking. At least so far in the game, that's considered hacking. Or if I were to close this door, the only way to get through it is to either destroy it or to grind it down and take control of it yourself. And you know, once again, that's grinding down to that red line or blue line, depending on which it has. So you have that, and that's a pretty big part of the game too. The coolest thing about this game is also its biggest weakness, though, but I think that it's got a lot of potential to be one of the coolest things I've always looked for in a sci-fi game. And that's basically, you can spawn into like a multiplayer wherever, and there's just so many different roles you can play. Now, I say it's the biggest weakness of the game too, because the netcode sucks and there's no real tools for admins. I was talking to the admin on the server I play on the other day, and he was basically saying that he couldn't really do anything because all his admin tools were made through mods and stuff, and he's able to do like certain things, load certain items in and stuff. He was really limited on what he could and could not do. So we're gonna exit out, and we're gonna go into the workshop here, and I got a number of mods still on here, all from pre-existing sci-fi recreations that people have made. We're gonna open this up. Wrong one. There we go. So we're gonna open up this Excelsior class vessel here somebody made, and this will kind of show you the scale that you can work on. Realistically, if you're playing survival, this would never ever get made because it would take forever. I'm pretty sure the guy used all heavy armor on this thing too, and all the thrusters are inside the ship and they destroy themselves. But this ship is massive, and it's kind of hard to tell from here, but once I get out and kind of start to explore the ship, you'll see that. You got weapons and stuff that you can put on the ships. This guy just put a couple of torpedoes on, and looks really cool. Looks like photon torpedoes, and he's got like a light down here to look like a deflector dish array, and all sorts of different stuff like that. So let's get out of here, and we'll go in here. And this is the bridge of the ship. You got a whole bunch of consoles. These are all like my station. These are all keyed together because you just basically placed them down, and factions probably didn't exist when we made this. So this is filled with a ton of rooms. Because I'm playing by myself, it's not so bad. If this was online, it would be lagging really bad, though, because basically having more than like 4 or 5 people seems to make the game like just want to fall apart currently. They still haven't really worked on the netcode or the online since it's come out. So we're going to fly down here to the back of the ship. And we're going to come back around under here. And we're going to head into the shuttle bay here. So one of the cool things you can do is basically when you go to build something, you have the option between starting a new small ship, new large ship, and a new station. And once again in multiplayer, this wouldn't really work out because of desync issues. These things that lock the ships into place would basically fail. Some of these seem to fly, some of these don't. I think it's all these type don't actually fly. So we're going to relock that. But basically it starts to like jitter around, and this actually destroyed one of my space stations before with that. So I think these ones should fly. I know I was flying these before. Okay, yeah, so this flies. You do need thrusters and stuff to fly. You can't see them on here because the guy's hitting them all inside the ship. Like I said, now in survival, at least in most survivals, the thrusters have damage and they just like rip everything apart on the inside. This is set up the same. The thrusters are kind of all throughout the ship. They're actually down inside the middle of the ship because that's where the center of gravity is, and that does play a role. Let's see here. Do this, and I'll kind of show you guys some of the damage that you can do though. So that's just a couple of rockets on a smaller ship. I do believe the guy used heavy armor, but I know he used it for at least the inside. This actually might be light armor out here though. And you can just keep blowing away. Survival, you'd have ammunition because this isn't survival if you don't. You can tell the game's starting to slow down some, and what that is basically the game's trying to compute all the debris and stuff. Because not only do you just damage stuff, you're actually causing debris on occasion. If you look around, I don't actually see any, but sometimes the ship will blow off into chunks or will blow apart. And I think what actually really caused that to slow down, I'm not positive, is I might have blown up the ship's engineering section. Thought that was farther forward, but maybe not. That causes a really good explosion. So I've taken out the gravity generators here, and I'm pretty sure, yeah, I must have taken out the engineering section is what it was, because this ship's got no power and that door won't open. These are designed kind of weird. The ships look like they survived and took just barely like any damage, but all the cockpits actually get destroyed out of these. Those both seem to have survived fine, just where they're tucked away, but yeah, you can kind of see this inside here though. You got thrusters, you got gyroscopes to stabilize the ship, which you need to be able to turn and do anything else. These have reactors. I guess they don't have any thrust. No, they got thrusters. It's got a reactor. That's unusual. I don't know why this doesn't work then. So if we're going to try to fly the ship now on this one, this big ship would no longer work. Just from hitting it in the right spot a few times, I managed to dig in and hit the engineering bay. And that's a big thing, is that the way there's so many different systems, is that if you fire on a ship, you have the potential of not necessarily destroying the ship, but you can disable certain systems on the ship. So if you say hit a conveyor belt that's delivering ammo, you can disable a ship's weapons, or you can destroy the ship's weapons outright, or you can knock out maybe their thrusters on just one side, and the ship wouldn't be able to turn certain directions anymore, or wouldn't be able to stop in that direction. So there's a lot of different things that you can do or affect the game by doing. That's kind of where that curved. I've never seen that before. The reason I think this game is so cool, though, is that if you're playing in multiplayer, there's just so many roles. I just started playing a multiplayer server maybe, I don't even think it's been a full week yet, but started playing a server. We've had a lot of issues just because, like I said, the online isn't set up properly. Our server tends to reboot a lot, and a lot of the stuff just kind of gets lost or disappears, I think, through glitches in the game. Wow, that's still on there. But you can do so many things. Just from what I've seen, me and my buddy are just trying to get a space station up and running, and that space station would have, the basically it will have a giant drilling ship that can like merge onto it. And we had some small ships which got deleted or got stolen or something. I'm not really sure what happened to them, and we faced a lot of setbacks on our server, but we're slowly growing up. But you have so many different jobs you can play because you don't have to just sit here and mine for resources. You can be, say, a mapper. Yeah, there's some debris flying off the. Oh, blew my ship up. Too close, I guess. So yeah, there that goes. You can be a mapper, and you can go into a server, and usually, like I said, asteroids seem to be randomly spawned or selected for a position by the admin, so a lot of people might not know where they're at. And you can say, well, this map's got coordinates available on it, and I'm going to go, and I'll go find asteroids, and I'll use a high-speed ship that's basically really fast maneuverable and doesn't use a whole lot of energy. And I'll just fly around and look for asteroids. Instead of having to mine them yourself and build up and have to build drills and worry about people stealing your resources, basically you go and you say, well, I'm going to give you these coordinates, and in exchange you have to give me uranium or whatever resource you need to basically survive. And or maybe give them the location of a base you ran across because you're too small to raid the base. Or if you were to build, say, a bigger ship, not necessarily this big because this thing's massive, and like I said, it's probably not realistic to build this in survival, at least not without a ton of time. You could go and be like, well, I'm going to be the captain of my ship, and I want to have my first officer, and I want to have, like my chief engineer, and then we're going to have a bunch of crewmen, and the crewmen are going to have different duties. So, like, say you're a crewman, you could be like a soldier, then a fighter pilot, then you could be help out with like engineering. Or maybe you just run a space station. You can be like a maintenance guy who repairs other people's ships, or like some R&D guy who specializes in like all sorts of crazy designs. Maybe make like really awesome gravity gun or really good ship designs or something. You can sell those to like other people online. Or maybe you just want to be a pirate. You just want to put like a ton of guns on your ship and just go and raid other people's bases and ships and just take their resources and grind them down. And that's the cool thing about the online, is that basically you can do all of that, and you can do that right now. Even with the servers kind of not really being that good, with them being laggy and stuff will disappear sometimes, but you can go out and do that. Me and my buddy have basically made up for all our resources that have gone missing, all our ships that have disappeared, by going out when we find a abandoned ship, or somebody who's not paying attention to their ship. We'll go out and we'll go grind it down, or we'll go take down the cockpit and we'll re-weld it and steal the whole ship and take all the resources they have, or whatever. And that's how we sometimes get by when we can't make up for the resources we've lost, or we can't afford to build thrusters for our big mining ship, which would get us back and up and operational again until it gets destroyed or stolen, which, considering the size, is probably not going to take too long. But yeah, this is a really awesome game. I would definitely suggest checking on. I wasn't going to go online just because it was laggy, but I think I want to do that. I want to show you guys our base here. If I can find the server. The server search function kind of sucks on this. I mean, as you can see, there's a ton of dedicated servers I see on here. And you can have a whole bunch of people on a server. You can join a server that's near empty. I tend to play on a server that's usually a little bit more populated. My station, unfortunately, is now on the edge of basically the edge of high risk space, I guess you could call it. it's right where all the asteroids have now been spread out to. The guy who runs the server moved all the asteroids out about 5,000. I think it's technically meters, but it should be kilometers in my opinion. Anyways, he moved them out farther, and now it's like right on the edge of where my station is. I'm not seeing the server though, so it might not be up for some reason, or it might be restarting right about now. Well, that's a shame. Maybe I won't be showing you guys here. Let me refresh it really quick if I can't find it and try again. Yeah, let's try refreshing this. Maybe we'll run across it here and it'll just have been a restart or something. But yeah, it's a pretty interesting thing though. You got most people honestly do play the same, and that's, you know, kind of watching your back build a space station and, you know, just gather resources to build up more. I would like to, if I play on the server long enough and we don't lose all our progress by somebody destroying our station or just some bug in the game. I'd like to build up a actually pretty sizable station that's fairly well defended, and, you know, be like, you know, we're a trade and repair station or whatever, and be like, you know, we'll repair your ship or we'll do trade with you, and then be able to say like, no, you're not coming near us because we know your pirates and turn all the guns on them. But that's still a long ways off. There's a few people on the server who could probably do that, and they haven't, which is kind of a shame, but like I said, you never really know what somebody's going to do, because everybody just kind of plays the same, and that's, you know, get resources where you can, survive what you can. And I'd probably not destroy people's stations, but I'm not above taking people's ships. At least, a little small mining ship or something. If it was a massive cruiser, I don't know that I'd take it, but that would probably just get me killed by so many people anyways. Yeah, it doesn't look like the server's up for some reason. So I guess I won't be showing you guys that today. I've been having so much fun with this game, I really just want to keep talking about it a little bit more. Yeah. Shift tab doesn't like to work in this either. At least not for in the menu. So, you know what, let's see here, where is this? I think this was the other map we were playing on. Me and Monkey had played on this one for a while before creating that workshop, or before going into online multiplayer. So I'll show you a couple of the ships we've made and the poor designs. I know I did say before that this game has no AI, but it basically has an option to add AI ships. They just fly in a straight line and disappear after a while, though. That's the only problem with them, so there is no actual intelligence. And that's actually what the ship is right here. This was an AI ship, and we managed to board it and take control of it. But if you get in here into the cockpit, there's nobody in the cockpit. It's just like an automated process. So this is just one of the maps. We've expanded this out a little bit, and somebody ran into the station. And I did that when I forgot to put gyroscopes on a ship. But this is actually survival mode. And I can kind of show off some of the stuff that I was talking about. So we'll say I want to place this block here. But I can't because I need steel plates. So we'll just borrow this here. So I now have a steel plate from that, and I can place that there, and it's just that outline, that frame, like I said, and I only have one, so I can only weld the one onto there, but if I had 25, this block would end up looking like all these I'm standing on. I don't, so we're just going to put that back there. And you can only build one block at a time in survival. In creative mode, you can set to either like a plane or to a line or whatever. This is our mining ship, and I forgot that my buddy just totally tore apart my design, which was a lot nicer looking, and turned into a grinder ship once I completed the queen bee over there. But if you get into the ship here, you'll basically see that you have connectors, or I think these ones are ejectors because this is a small ship. But yeah, at any rate, you can like eject the stuff out of the ship into the station, and the station will collect it using these things. And with all these little tubes that you see spreading everywhere, I'll either stick it into the refinery, into the assemblers, or into our cargo containers here for basically over like extra stuff. And since these are all connected through this thing, anything in the refineries or the assemblers and stuff would go into that cargo container too. As you can see, my energy is going down now. I have health, so I can take damage by falling or getting bumped into by another player hard enough, which can actually kill you, which is silly, I know, but it's early access. As you can see, we've got that on here too. So how this is set up is we've got a number of drills on the front. We haven't actually finished this thing just because of the sheer amount of drills, but you got all the drills on the front here, and this design was one of our first ones, so it's not the greatest. But one of the drills is hooked up to this tube, which feeds along the top of the ship, and it goes inside here. And I'll actually go inside the ship since I can't just replace parts. I have to rebuild them, and that takes a while. So we'll go inside the ship, and the ship's apparently off. No, because when we built gravity generators on this, I guess we didn't finish it. Yeah, we didn't finish it. So we go in here, and you can see our incompleted engine room, and we've changed the color of the lighting here to be red. But that tube feeds into the top of this box, which you can't really tell from here, but basically on top of this box is another door like this. And if I were to open this up, I actually got some stuff in there. I can pull out those resources, or I can put them back, and all these drills are hooked together, and there's a connector too, and that's actually holding some more resources too. That's didn't quite fit in them with the rest, or didn't want to transfer over for whatever reason. And we're able to transfer resources, and say we pull up to the station, we've got our hull and our cargo containers full, and we need to basically mine out our resources. So we'd pull up, and we'd park where miner 1 is, and we'd park those these connectors next to it, and these connectors are actually able to lock onto each other. So if I were to have another connector on the station, we could pull up, lock these together, and that way there'd be no risk of resource loss. But as long as you park it pretty close, it won't happen anyways. So you'd pull in here and it would transfer everything out. Not sure if this is what I think it is down here. It might just be an asteroid, but I know we had a ship we were tearing apart that was starting to drift this way, but I think that's just the asteroid, yeah. We had captured a really big ship that was really difficult to get onto and find the cockpit and everything, but unfortunately I came in too fast to the station when I was coming in, and I accidentally wasn't able to stop and might have hit an asteroid by our base and took out about a quarter of the ship, which was filled with resources. But that's it's not such a big deal now. We've got our mining ship, and even though it's not big or the greatest design ever, it's able to eat asteroids pretty thoroughly. So as you can see here, I kind of got some of the asteroid, and we didn't even use this thing that much because we haven't played on this in a while. But this big huge chunk out of the asteroid here is actually from the drills. And you can tell this is actually all iron. If I were to pull out my drill, my character will be like, oh look, there's iron there, or iron there, wherever else. And I can go out, mine all this. I could try to catch this at least. Failed before it disappeared, but I tried. Oh, there's that ship. That's way off over there now. Yeah, let's fly over there even though I only have so much energy. You also can consume energy more or less depending on how you do it. So I'm going to turn off my jetpack. I'll maintain full speed because my jetpack's not trying to stop me from going forward using the dampeners. And because my jetpack's off, I'm not trying to stop myself. I won't use any energy because I'm basically just sitting still. I use only a small amount of it. So this is that ship we were starting to work on. Unfortunately, it drifted away before we finished working on it, but you can see we're pulling apart the engines and stuff. Actually, a large portion of the ship is now gone. You can see where I hit the ship too. All this damage here is actually from where the ship got run into. This side's all got pulled apart by our efforts to pull resources from the ship. So you can tell a lot of the ship is actually missing. Most of the valuable stuff is actually gone off of it, I do believe. The only thing that we really haven't gotten to, I think, are a couple of the thrusters and just bits and pieces of the smaller stuff inside the ship. Like these conveyors have fairly decent resources. They probably pulled the cockpit already too, it looks like. Let me... Oh, maybe they didn't. Okay. Yeah, those are the collectors, because this is actually a mining ship. Not mining, but like a... Okay, yeah, they did pull it. It's not a mining ship, but it's a like a refining ship, so if you had a mining ship, like a small little miner, you could just fly up, drop off your stuff, fly away, and then go back to mining or doing whatever, and then this way, this is essentially a mobile base with the size of this thing. It never had a medical bay or anything, but if you're playing multiplayer, this would be an awesome design. So they basically have this bay here, and then there's a couple of armor plates with little small gaps in them. If you wanted to get really inventive, you could have like a little shield that comes down, basically, would like rotate the door down, and then like you could probably have something that like push it back or something, or swings it back into position to where it'd be like sealed shut. And then you could have your medical bay in here, and that way, every time you respawn, you come into the bay, you come into this room here, and you know, fly up with your jetpack. And hate this thing; it always kills me. You'd fly in here, go down here, and then you come up into the cockpit or where it used to be, and you'd fly off and do whatever. I've been rambling on for quite a while, though, and as much as I'd like to keep talking about this game, I'm basically starting to repeat myself a lot, and don't really have too much to talk about, at least until I can get my multiplayer server found, and kind of show you guys off our base a little bit, and show you what we've been doing for that. Oh, yeah, I flew too fast in the ship, so that's a good note to end on. So, I will talk to you guys later.